press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello everybody. So this is the sixth video on chapter number 8, Cell, the unit of life. To start with, in this video we'll learn something about the nucleus. So based on the nucleus, the cells have been broadly classified into prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells, which we have already studied in detail. So the prokaryotic cells are those cells where they do not have a definite nucleus, whereas the eukaryotic cells, they have a definite nucleus wherein they are surrounded by a nuclear membrane. And for the first time, the nucleus was discovered by a scientist by name Robert Brown. So Robert Brown discovered nucleus. So when the nucleus was stained, was given some color, it could absorb some color, and hence the inner material to the nucleus was named as chromatin, where chrome means color. So the material which was present inside the nucleus could absorb some color or some basic dye color, and therefore it could be colored so easily. Hence the name chromatin was given to the inner material of the nucleus by a scientist called as Fleming. Now when you look into the nucleus, we have already studied that some cells, they may contain only a single nucleus, and some cells, they may contain many nuclei. For example, paramecium has got two nuclei in it, one micronucleus and the other the macronucleus. So most of the cells, they have a single nucleus, which is the one which controls the entire cell. So nucleus is that organelle which controls the entire cell, and this nucleus is a double membranous structure. Let us look into the structure of the nucleus. So as we have already learnt, the nucleus may be central in its position in case of animal cells, but in case of plant cells, it is almost peripheral in its position, because most of the volume in the plant cell is occupied by the vacuole. So nucleus is a double membranous structure. It is a double membranous structure. Nucleus is the one which controls all the metabolic activities of the cell. You can call it as the master of the cell. The nucleus has got four important parts. One is the nuclear envelope or the nuclear membrane. This is called as the nuclear envelope or the nuclear membrane. the nuclear matrix or the nucleoplasm. It is called as the nuclear matrix or the nucleoplasm. Or it is also called as karyolymph. Nuclear pore. And this is the nucleus. From exam point of view, this diagram may be asked for 2 marks. Draw a neat label diagram of the nucleus and label the parts. So there are 4 labelings, which each labeling will carry half a mark. And this is an important question from your exam point of view. So it is the structure of nucleus. So you can see almost it is circular in shape, and inside it is completely filled with karyolymph or the nuclear matrix or the nucleoplasm. And other than this, you can also see the thread-like structures. The thread-like structures, network of thread-like structures can be seen, which is referred as the chromatin. So, entire nucleus is covered by double membranous envelope, which is called as the nuclear membrane. So, the outer membrane is almost rough, whereas the inner membrane is smooth, has got a smooth surface, whereas the outer membrane has got a rough surface because of the deposition of the ribosomes on it, and sometimes it is almost continuous with the rough endoplasmic reticulum or the endoplasmic reticulum. So this nuclear envelope or the nuclear membrane almost separates the cytoplasmic contents from the nuclear contents. The contents inside the nucleus and the contents inside the cytoplasm are separated with the help of this boundary like structure, which is called as the nuclear membrane. And these two membranes diffuse at certain points, forming a pore like structure or a gap like structure, which is called as the nuclear pore. So many things or substances can move inside the nucleoplasm and get out of the nucleoplasm into the cytoplasm. So these nuclear pores act like channels so that some substances can get into the nucleus and get out of the nucleus, but only the selected substances, not all the substances. So this is the nucleoplasm, which is rich in various enzymes. It is rich in various enzymes. The nucleoplasm, also called as karyolymph. Nucleus, the other word is karyon. Another word for the word nucleus is karyon, and the fluid like matrix which is present inside the nucleus is called as the karyolymph, or it is also referred as the nucleoplasm. And this nucleoplasm consists of the various enzymes in them. So enzymes, they play a very important role in DNA replication, a process called as the RNA replication, and also a process called as RNA synthesis. All these takes place inside the cell, and therefore they require a huge number of enzymes, and all these enzymes are available in the nucleoplasm. And one more structure you can see is the nucleolus. And this nucleolus consists of huge amount of rRNA. That is ribosomal RNA, and it is also the site of synthesis of the rRNA. So all ribosomes are also synthesized in the nucleus itself. inside the nucleus itself, the ribosomes are synthesized. So synthesis of ribosomes, DNA replication and also the RNA synthesis, all these takes place inside this nucleoplasm. And if RNA synthesis takes place and some RNA have to move from the nucleus into the cytoplasm, they move out of the nucleus through these nuclear pores. And the outer and the inner nuclear membranes are separated with the help of a perinuclear space. The perinuclear space will separate the outer nuclear membrane and the inner nuclear membrane, and the space is about 5 to 10 nanometer. In between the inner membrane and the outer membrane, there is a space which is referred as the perinuclear space, which is about 5 to 10 nanometer. And the remaining is the thread-like structures which are called as the chromatin. Because they absorb the strain, they are called as chromatin. And these chromatin, they contain the hereditary material in them. So hereditary material are the one which transfer certain characters from one generation to another generation. I hope we have got certain characters from our parents. Maybe it is physical appearance or some characters which are related to our IQ. All of them, they have come to us from our parents, and these materials which get transmitted from one generation to another generation are present in this chromatin. Then what does this chromatin contain in it? This chromatin, the thread-like structure, is about 2 meter long. It is about 2 meter long, and in it, it contains 23 pairs of chromosomes or 46 chromosomes. It contains 23 pairs of chromosomes or it contains 46 chromosomes. So all cells will not contain 46 chromosomes. It is unique only for the human body cells. The human body cells will contain 46 chromosomes. The number of chromosomes is very, very specific for each species. So this chromosome number is species specific, and in human beings we find 23 pairs of chromosomes or the 46 chromosomes present or hidden in this 2 meter long thread-like structure, that is the chromatin. So how they are present? In the form of chromosomes, in the form of DNA. They are present in the form of DNA, that is deoxyribonucleic acids, which are called as the hereditary materials, and hence it is called as the vehicles of heredity. This chromatin is called as the vehicles of heredity because these hereditary material not only gets transferred from one generation to another generation, this is also one of the important raw material for mutations and also for the study of evolution or for the formation of a new species. So it acts as the raw material for evolution and also for the formation of new species. So thereby this chromatin plays a very significant role in the cells or in the nucleus. So now coming to the structure of this chromatin. So in this chromatin, this appears to be like a thread-like structure in a cell which is only ready for cell division, or a cell which is at interphase. A cell which is at interphase we call it as. So cell has got phases which we will learn it in the chapter called as the cell cycle. So this is a phase where the cell is completely grown up and it is ready for cell division. In that sort of cell, you can see this chromatin which is distributed in the form of thread-like structure inside the nuclear envelope. But when you look this nucleus, when you look this chromatin in a dividing cell, so there you don't find a nucleus, but in the place of this nucleus, you find certain highly proteinaceous structures. So still much very distinct and short structures which are called as chromosomes. So let me come to the word chromosomes comes. So these chromosomes, they undergo duplication or they undergo replication where they make an exact copy of its own. So you can write the structure of the chromosome, or you can analyze the structure of the chromosome in two important phases of cell division. One is the metaphase and another is in the anaphase. Now let me write the structure of the chromosome, how it looks either in metaphase or in anaphase. So now looking into the structure of chromosome at metaphase stage or anaphase stage. Cell division, which means every cell is formed by the process called as cell division. So the parent cell divides, it forms two daughter cells. It forms usually daughter cells. So when the cell undergoes division, so there are four important steps which are observed during the process of cell division. The first phase is called as the prophase. After this interphase comes the division phase, where the first phase of cell division is called as the prophase. So where you can see these chromatin, little more distinct structures can be seen, and the next second stage is the metaphase. How exactly this chromatin looks at the metaphase stage? Let me write a diagram for that so that you will be able to understand this morphology or the structure of the chromosome. So this is so you can see the chromosome, which you call it as the, now it can be called as a chromosomal fiber, or these arms are called as chromatids. So you can find the two rod-like structures which are attached at the center. So these are two rod-like structures which are called as chromatids, which are formed by the duplication of the chromosome, which are formed by the duplication or the replication of the chromosome. So this is exact copy of this, and they are now called as chromatids. So there are two chromatids which are held together in the center with the help of a structure called as the centromere. A structure called as the centromere. And this centromere is surrounded by a disc-like structure, is closed by a disc-like structure or a ring-like structure, which is called as the kinetochore. Kinetochore it is called as. So each centromere may contain two kinetochores. Each centromere may contain two kinetochores which are enclosed on the front and on the rear face of the centromere. Each centromere is enclosed by a ring-like structure which are two in number, and they are called as the kinetochores. So this chromatin or these chromosomes, they are made up of DNA, or you can call the chemical components that are present are called as nucleoproteins and histones. So nucleoproteins, that is nucleic acids along with the various proteins and histones, are present in this chromatin. The chemical components that are present in this chromatin are the nucleoproteins and the histones, which make up these chromatin or the chromosomal fibers. So a metaphase chromosome or the chromatin looks more distinct, and this is the morphology of the chromosome at the metaphase stage, where entire mass of chromatin gets distributed into different chromosomal fibers or different chromosomes, and that chromosome will have a structure like this, where it has got two chromatids which are closed together, which are joined together at a center point, which is called as the centromere, and it is once again these centromere are enclosed by a proteinaceous complex system, which is called as the kinetochore. So sometimes this centromere can also be called as the primary constriction. It is also referred as the primary constriction. Is also referred as the primary constriction. In some chromosomes, you may also find a secondary constriction like this, and the terminal part of the chromosome is attached to this. The terminal part of the chromosomes or the end part of the chromosome is attached to this like this. So this forms the satellite. This forms the secondary constriction. This forms the secondary constriction. Which is not present in all chromosomes but few chromosomes. This is called as the secondary constriction, and this terminal part of the chromosome which extends beyond the secondary constriction can be called as the SAT or satellite body. It is also referred as satellite body. So SAT is acid thymidine. It is also referred as acid thymidine or the satellite body. So this is the secondary constriction. This is the primary constriction. The primary constriction can also be called as the centromere, the secondary constriction, and this is the satellite. The secondary constriction is also called as nucleolar organizer, nucleolus organizer region. It is also called as NOR, which means nucleolus organizer region. Nucleolus organizer region. NOR. So a metaphase chromosome or an anaphase chromosome has the following structure. It has got two chromatids. The two chromatids are joined together at a point which is called as the centromere, which may also be called as the primary constriction. And in some chromosomes, there may exist also a secondary constriction. So the chromosomal fiber which extends beyond the secondary constriction is called as the satellite body or the SAT chromosome, and these chromosomes which contain the satellite body or the secondary constriction can be called as satellite chromosomes or SAT chromosomes. They are referred as SAT chromosomes. So the tip of this chromosome can be called as the telomere. It can be called as the telomere. The tip of this chromosome can be called as the telomere. The two rod-like structures are called as the chromatids. The center which holds together these two chromatids together can be called as the centromere or the primary constriction. So centromere is enclosed by a ring or a disc-like structure called as the kinetochore, or they are double in number. Each centromere is covered by two kinetochores, and these chromosomal chromatids may also sometimes bear a secondary constriction and satellite. So the chromosomes which have this secondary constriction, they or the SAT body, they may also be referred as satellite chromosomes. Next is, based on the position of the centromere, the chromosomes are of different types. The chromosomes are of there are different types of chromosomes based on the position of the centromere. So based on the position of the centromere, the chromosomes have been divided into four types. There are four types of chromosomes based on the position of the centromere. Metacentric, second is submetacentric, acrocentric, and telocentric. So once again, both these questions are very important from the exam point of view. So a question may be asked like, write a neat label diagram of the morphology of the chromosome showing chromatids, or show the structure of, write a neat label diagram of the structure of chromosome at metaphase stage and label the parts like this. So it may be asked for 2 marks, or even the explanation may be asked for totally for 5 marks including this diagram. Explanation 3 marks and diagram 2 marks, or 2.5 for diagram or 2.5 for explanation. So the marks can be divided based on the papers. It is all based on the paper set. So once again, there may be another question for 5 marks. It may be asked for 5 marks. So classify chromosomes based on the position of the centromere. The question may be like this: classify chromosomes based on the position of the centromere. And they may also, this question may be asked for 4 marks, and they may tag another question like, what is a centromere? Or any other question which may carry 1 mark may be tagged with this, so that it becomes 4 plus 1 is equal to 5, and this question can be asked for 5 marks in the 5 marks division. So metacentric, submetacentric, acrocentric and the telocentric chromosomes. What is the meaning of this? Metacentric chromosome, submetacentric chromosome, acrocentric and telocentric. So here in metacentric, the centromere is present almost in the middle, and all the chromatids or the arms, these can also be called as the arms. These can be called as the arms. So the arms are of equal length. The arms are of equal length. For example, this itself is a diagram like that showing all the arms are of equal length. Forget about this secondary construction and the satellite. So otherwise, this itself will be an example of the metacentric, where it has got equal length of arms. So the centromere is at the center, dividing these arms into of 4 equal lengths. So there are 4 arms, the 2 chromatids having arms of equal length, and thereby the centromere is placed almost at the center. So the centromere is placed at the center, the arms are of equal size, and the shape of the chromosome is almost like V-shape. V-shaped chromosomes can be found, V-shaped, and hence it is called as metacentric, because even then in almost even in metaphase you can see the same type of chromosome, hence it is called as metacentric chromosome. It is referred as metacentric chromosome based on the position of the centromere. So in the second case, submetacentric, as the name itself tells, the centromere is at the submetacentric position, or just below or above the center, so that dividing these arms into 2 long arms and 2 short arms. So dividing this chromosome or the 2 chromatids into 2 longer arms and 2 shorter arms. So that is called as the submetacentric. So if this is the centromere, so there are 2 long arms and there are 2 short arms. So it is away, little bit away from the center. The centromere is placed in the submetacentric position. So it is placed in the submetacentric position, and it divides the arms of the chromatids into 2 longer and 2 shorter arms. And this is almost, it is J-shaped. They are of J-shaped chromosomes. Next is acrocentric. This is of L-shaped. Submetacentric chromosome, they are L-shaped chromosomes. They look like L shape. And acrocentric. Here in acrocentric, almost the centromere is at the sub-terminal position, almost at the sub-terminal position, so that dividing the chromosomes, arms of the chromatids into two very long arms and two very short arms. Dividing the arms of the chromatids into two very long arms and two very short arms. And they resemble J-shaped chromosomes. They are called as J-shaped chromosomes because they have got two very short arms and two very long arms. So, two are short and two are long. In case of submetacentric, they are referred as L-shaped chromosomes. Acrocentric, you have two long arms and two very short arms. It is referred as J-shaped chromosomes. And telocentric, where almost the centromere is at the terminal position, terminal at one end of the chromatid. So, this is J-shaped. Almost at the terminal position you find the chromosomes, and almost at the terminal position you find the centromere, where there very small extension of the chromatids can be seen at one end, and on the other end the complete part of the chromatids can be seen. So, in telocentric, the centromere is almost at the end of the chromatids, end position of the chromatids. Hence, such chromosomes are called as telocentric. All these you can see different positions of the centromere can be seen in different stages of the cell division. So, metacentric, submetacentric, acrocentric and telocentric chromosomes. So, based on the position of the centromere, the chromosomes are of four types. The metacentric, where the centromere is placed in the center and the arms of the chromatids are of almost equal size or equal length. In case of submetacentric chromosomes, the centromere is placed submetacentric in its position, and it divides the arms of the chromatids into two longer ones and two smaller ones. And in case of acrocentric, the centromere is almost at the sub-terminal position. You call this as sub-terminal. Terminal is end and sub-terminal is before the end. So, before the end point, you can see this centromere placed dividing the arms of the chromatids into two long arms and two small arms. Very long arms and very short arms. In telocentric, you can see almost the center is at the end point of the chromatids, and where you see very long chromatids on one side and very small extensions of the chromatids seen on the other side of the centromere. So, this question may be asked for the examination. So, this is V-shaped, this is L-shaped, this is J-shaped, and you can call this as I-shaped. See, I, because this is long and there is one dot, right? So, this is dot portion and this you can call it as the I portion. If you reverse this, it will almost look like this, right? Therefore, these are the types of chromosomes based on the position of the centromere. Based on the position of the centromere, it is called as. Next is coming to the functions of the nucleus, almost coming to the functions of the nucleus. As you all know that nucleus almost controls all the activities of the cell. All the activities or the metabolic activities of the cell is under the control of the nucleus, and secondly, it is the site of RNA synthesis. So, RNA is ribonucleic acid, And there are three types of RNA, the mRNA, rRNA and tRNA. All the three types of RNA are synthesized inside the nucleus because the nuclear matrix or the nucleoplasm has got so many enzymes to synthesize them. So after their synthesis, they are brought out of the nucleus into the cytoplasm for other activities. So like the best one is the mRNA, which comes out of the cell, which comes out of the nucleus during protein synthesis and helps in protein synthesis. It comes to the site of ribosomes and brings about the process of protein synthesis. So they come out with the help of the nuclear pores. They come out with the help of the nuclear pores which are present on the nuclear membrane. So there are so many proteins which act as pores and they allow only certain substance to come out of the nucleus and get into the nucleus. So on the nuclear membrane there might be more than 100 different types of proteins which will act like valves to send the materials inside and bring the materials out of the nucleus. So that is the speciality of this nuclear pore in the nuclear envelope or the nuclear membrane. And this also brings about the DNA replication. Nucleus also brings about the DNA replication. Let us write the functions of the nucleus. One is controls activities of cell. And some, they help in RNA synthesis. The nucleus helps in RNA synthesis. It also helps in synthesis of ribosomes, ribosomal synthesis, brings about DNA replication. So DNA replication or the synthesis of ribosomes. So ribosomes, they play a very important role in the cell, and ribosomes are present both in prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. They are the protein factories, right? So they are the site of protein synthesis, as we have already studied. And DNA replication, the exact identical copy of DNA is made and the process is called as replication. An exact replica of the existing DNA is synthesized, which is called as DNA replication. So it controls and all the metabolic activities, entire metabolism of the cell is under the control of the nucleus. So not only all the activities, all the metabolic activities or all the various chemical reactions taking place inside the cell or under the control of the nucleus. So all controls all activities, and here all metabolic activities. Let me write all controls all metabolic activities. Controls all metabolic activities. So this is nucleus, and there are some cells where nucleus are totally absent. For example, human RBC cells where there are no nucleus at all, and even in case of sieve tubes of the phloem cells, there where exactly nucleus is totally absent and they remain tubular. And even in the mature certain sclerenchyma fibers, these nucleus are totally absent. They are totally absent. So almost all of the cells, they contain a nucleus. All living cells, they contain the nucleus along with the cytoplasm in it. So we have studied nucleus as one of the important organelle of the cell. So this chapter is very, very important from exam point of view, CET point of view, and also from NEET. So a huge number of questions are expected for NEET. So for board exams, 1 mark questions may come from any part of this chapter. Each and every line is very important from the chapter. So What are the, name the suicidal backs, name the protein factories of the cell, name the hereditary vehicles of the cell. Like this, many questions of 1 mark may appear. So each and every sentence in the textbook is very important for 1 mark questions. 2 mark questions, they may ask you the diagram of nucleus, they may ask you the diagram of mitochondria or plastid or any other structure, the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, or the functions of lysosome, functions of RER, that is rough endoplasmic reticulum, functions of SER, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, or the Golgi complex. Like this, the questions may be asked for 2 marks. For 3 marks, once again, the structure of mitochondria or the plastids. Types of plastids may be asked for 3 marks because they are 3 in number. So their functions along with the types can be asked. For 4 marks, the same, the question which the concept which we have learned just now. So based on the position of the centromere, the chromosomes are divided into. As such, there is no direct question of 4 marks. So the 5 marks question is usually split like 2 plus 3 or 4 plus 1 or 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 like this. So it may be split. So here this question may come for 4 marks along with one more question which will carry 1 mark. Right? So overall this chapter is very important from your exam point of view. And for 5 marks, even the structure of the animal cell and the structure of the plant cell may be asked along with the labelings. In biology, that too for the students who are just entering PU, I would like to tell any diagram without any labeling will never fetch you any marks. So you might write a very beautiful diagram, but if you don't label it, you will be given 0 marks. So if you write the labeling, then it will be considered. So you know only 4 labelings, you have written all the organelles in the plant cell, but you have labeled only 4. So you may get only 2 marks because each labeling may carry half mark and you may get only 2 marks. You may miss 3 more marks. So students, please concentrate on the labelings and write proper spellings of the labelings. So chromosomes, if you write chromosomes, if you skip off H, so you may lose the marks. But if you are given the marks, it is only because of the kindness of your person who has evaluated your paper. So therefore the spellings also play a very important role. Labelings are very, very important in diagrams, but particularly in biology. If you don't label the diagram may fetch you 0 marks. You may feel contented that you have written a very good diagram, but if you have not labeled it, you will get only 0 marks. So see that you always label the diagrams and the labelings should be of correct spellings also. Endoplasmic reticulum, if you write wrong spellings, you may not get the marks, allotted marks for it, right? So I hope you have understood this chapter. I shall end this video here. Thank you.